Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that feels almost too wild to be real. We're talking about AI Vision Quest Finland, this transformative leadership program happening in the Arctic wilderness of Lapland. Sam, when I first read about this, I thought, okay, so people are going to the frozen north to learn about AI? Tell me this isn't just a vacation with a corporate rebrand.
Huh. I had the same skepticism, Alex. But here's what's actually fascinating. There's real neuroscience backing this up. Finnish Lapland gets these extended light cycles. We're talking 18+ hours of daylight during certain seasons, and that genuinely affects neuroplasticity and creative thinking. So it's not about the vacation aesthetic. It's about creating optimal conditions for people to actually rewire how they think about AI leadership.
Okay, that's compelling. But let's zoom out for a second. McKinsey data shows that 55% of organizations have integrated AI into their operations, but only 23% see real ROI improvements in leadership capabilities. That's a massive gap. Is that the problem this retreat is actually solving?
Exactly. Most companies are adopting AI tools, but their leaders aren't fundamentally rethinking how those tools reshape decision-making, organizational structure, and strategy. It's like buying a jet without learning to fly. The Vision Quest addresses this through something called AI lead architecture. Basically, teaching executives to think architecturally about how AI restructures their entire organization, not just their toolset.
So it's not, here's ChatGPT, now use it in your business. It's more, here's how AI fundamentally changes what authority means in your company. That's a different conversation entirely. How does the actual program structure work? You mentioned it's 7 days?
7 days, and the daily rhythm is really clever. Mornings are intensive prompt engineering workshops, very hands-on, technical work. Afternoons, participants are out on wilderness trails, which sounds like a break, but it's actually processing time. Your nervous system's shifted into a different mode. You're integrating what you learned that morning. Then evenings, they're building what they call a golden prompt stack, a personalized library of AI prompts engineered for their specific strategic challenges.
Hold on, golden prompt stack. That's a great term, but what does that actually mean in practice? Give me a concrete example of what someone walks away with.
Think of it this way. Instead of generic prompts, an executive leaves with custom-engineered prompts that, say, help extract strategic insights from messy industry data, run scenario planning for emerging market shifts, or synthesize competitive positioning. These aren't templates. They're crafted with an AI mentor specifically for that person's organizational context. Stanford research shows executives who actively develop these frameworks demonstrate 3.4x greater strategic adaptability afterward, compared to those just consuming off-the-shelf AI tools.
Wow, 3.4x is substantial. So the real competitive advantage isn't learning what AI is, it's learning how to think with AI in a way that's uniquely calibrated to your business. But here's my concern. This sounds incredibly expensive and time-intensive. Who is this really for?
It's positioned for C-suite and senior leadership who need to make architectural decisions about AI integration, the kind of people who can't afford to not understand how AI restructures their competitive advantage. And yes, it's not cheap, but think about it. If one executive makes a better strategic AI decision because they spent a week in Lapland working with mentors and building custom prompt stacks, the ROI is probably huge.
What about the nature immersion piece? I want to make sure we're not overselling that. How critical is actually being in Lapland, in the wilderness, versus just doing this intensively in any location?
Good question, because it's not just atmospheric. The extended light cycles genuinely affect cognitive function. That's documented neurobiologically. Plus, there's isolation from operational distractions, which is underrated. You're not answering Slack messages from your office. That alone creates space for first principles thinking. But I'd argue the wilderness is also psychologically symbolic. When you're physically removed from your organizational context and surrounded by vastness, it's easier to see your strategy at a higher level, rather than getting trapped in tactical details.
So it's the combination. Biology plus psychology plus focused mentorship. That makes sense. Let's talk about the mentor model because that seems central. Each person gets a dedicated AI mentor. What's that relationship like, and how is it different from, say, hiring an AI consultant?
It's more intensive and personal than consulting engagements. A consultant typically diagnoses a problem and recommends solutions. An AI mentor here is working with you for 7 days, helping you develop your thinking about how AI reshapes your specific leadership challenges. It's almost like having a sparring partner who understands both advanced prompt engineering and your organizational context. That depth of engagement produces something consulting rarely achieves: genuine shift in how someone thinks, not just a report they implement.
I'm curious, what kind of transformations have people experienced? Do we have examples of executives who've gone through this and subsequently made different strategic decisions?
The blog doesn't provide specific case studies, which I wish it did. But logically, if someone goes through a program where they're explicitly rethinking organizational structure through an AI lens, which is what AI-led architecture does, they should come back with different thinking about talent, hierarchy, decision-making speed, and automation priorities. Those are architectural changes, not incremental improvements. I'd want to see longitudinal data, though, about what actually changes in their organization 6-12 months out.
That's a fair point. Outcomes matter more than hype. One more thing I want to dig into. Why specifically Finland and Lapland versus, say, Costa Rica or somewhere else with natural beauty and isolation?
The research they cite is specific to Finnish Lapland's light conditions and how that affects neuroplasticity. You can't replicate those exact conditions elsewhere during the same time of year. Plus, there's infrastructure through taiga school and proximity to 4 national parks and a lake. It's not arbitrary, it's engineered. Could you do something similar elsewhere? Maybe. But the program is explicitly designed around Lapland's unique environmental conditions and the neuroscience backing them.
All right, let me synthesize this for listeners. If you're a senior executive wondering why your organization has AI adoption, but not AI-driven strategic advantage, this program is directly addressing that gap. You're not learning AI basics. You're learning to architect your organization around AI. And you're doing that in an environment optimized for cognitive transformation. That's the core value prop. Sam, any final thoughts?
One thing worth emphasizing: this only works if executives actually commit to rethinking their organizations when they return. The week in Lapland is the catalyst, but the real work happens after, when they implement the architectural changes they've designed. It's not transformative in itself. It's transformative if people act on it.
Excellent point. Okay, listeners, if this intrigues you, and frankly, the intersection of AI mentorship, prompt engineering, and wilderness neuroscience is pretty hard to ignore, head over to etherlink.ai and find the full blog post about AI Vision Quest Finland. There's a lot more detail about the daily structure, the prompt engineering methodology, and how the program fits into broader AI leadership transformation. Thanks for joining us on EtherLink AI Insights, and we'll catch you next time.